While most of Indian media over the past week has been obsessed with the election verdicts in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Telangana, we at EastMojo have, of course, focused on Mizoram, which is why we went live on Monday, not Sunday. By the time we started our live coverage, the results were a foregone conclusion. In fact, by noon, the only doubt was which of the two national parties would end up with one seat. Of course, this being the Northeast, it was Congress that ended up with one seat. One. But the absolute hopelessness that is the Congress party in the Northeast is worth its own video, so we will talk about that in a separate story. For now, back to ZPM. Now that we have a Mizoram CM who is neither Zoramthanga nor Lalthanhawla, it is clear that the Mizo verdict is a loud, almost screaming call for a change. I'm Kalyan Dev, and in this episode of Decoded, we look at the challenges that await the newest party to come to power in the Northeast. Pursuing for months.
Rural village of Assam
in the 75th Independence Day.
Mizoram is a lot of things, but the only thing it is not is being rich. And more than anyone else, it is the Mizoram residents who are painfully reminded of this fact time and again. A landlocked state with pretty much one road connecting it with the rest of the country, Mizoram's state finances have, frankly speaking, never made for a great reading. Add to this the pandemic that pretty much brought the world, not just Mizoram, to a standstill, and well, the writing was on the wall. In 2022, CM Zoramthanga also admitted this problem. The non-receipt of the state's share of taxes and grants from the centre amounted to 2,630 crore rupees during the fiscal 2019-2020 to 2020-2021. More worryingly, Zoramthanga, who also held the finance portfolio, informed the State Assembly in September 2022 that the state government had availed loans amounting to 256.396 crore rupees from the Reserve Bank of India as overdraft 6 months between July 21 and August 2 in the current fiscal. Maybe it was the centre's way of punishing the state for not complying with its orders of not allowing refugees. But then, let us not forget that Mizoram is not the only state facing this problem. West Bengal has complained of the same, and yes, I can hear someone say that this is not the BJP's fault. The state governments are at fault here. But the point is, whether Bengal or Mizoram, the residents suffer as a result. When it was in the opposition, ZPM regularly and rightly complained how the state government had routinely mishandled the situation, and of course, as opposition, they had every democratic right to do so. But now that they are in power, they will realize how bad things are and how difficult it can be to negotiate with a centre that sometimes, as we are seeing in Manipur, simply does not care. What can Mizoram work on to improve state finances? How about tourism? Anyone who has been to Mizoram, and I include myself here, with at least that Mizoram is breathtakingly beautiful. Yet, as of September 2023, the state has seen just over 1 lakh tourists. Compare this to Meghalaya, which is expected to cross 15 lakh tourists in 2024. In what is perhaps the best indicator of how Mizoram politics is different from other states, even in the Northeast, let alone the rest of the country, one of the first things that Lalthanhawla said after it became clear that he would be the CM is that Mizoram's stance on refugees would not change. Mizoram's stance, not ZPM, mind you. But for those who follow Mizoram closely, this is not a surprising statement at all. Despite political differences, Mizoram political parties have seldom had much difference on this issue. But for how long? The coup in Myanmar will mark 3 years next February. This means that there are now thousands of refugees who have been provided shelter for almost 3 years. The displaced people from Manipur, even though they have reduced in numbers, are now in their 8th month. At some point, locals are likely to start asking, what is next for the outsiders, and that is when things can get difficult for the ZPM. Given the centre's stance on Myanmar refugees, it is unlikely that they will have a change of heart. How long will the ZPM manage to continue with the MNF policy of welcoming and sheltering refugees, especially given how bad the state finances are? There is one more issue. Unlike Zoramthanga, Lalthanhawla, since he was in the opposition, was far more vocal about Manipur, even calling for the precedence rule in the state and promoting the two-state policy. It would not be a smart thing to continue with that narrative now that he is in charge, or maybe it is the time to go all hammer and tongs on the issue and make an official demand. Either way, it will not help douse the fire that is Manipur. ZPM has been a breath of fresh air for more than one reason, but that can also pose a huge challenge when it comes to governance. How will first-time MLAs handle the corridors of power? How will the new ministers handle the ironclad bureaucracy that has been in place for decades? How will the ministers make sure they deliver the numerous promises they have made? How will ZPM ensure that their MLAs do not become like the leaders they have replaced? The new leaders will also need extensive training to talk to the media. But given how many journalists have won from ZPM, I'm hoping that will be easy. As I said, the easy part was winning the elections. Now comes the difficult part. And ZPM will hope they do not learn the hard way. In the run-up to the elections, we had in a previous episode highlighted how Mizoram and smuggling almost go hand in hand. Unfortunately, as it may seem, the truth is that Mizoram's biggest scourge has been smuggling for years now. From betel nuts to drugs, smuggling has almost completely broken the state economy. Again, it was easy to blame the government when they were in opposition, but now that they are in power, they will realize how deep the rot is. From officials to police to politicians and hundreds of locals, the smuggling economy benefits many people and their vested interests. ZPM will do well to remember how the Mizoram government in 2022 transferred Mizoram Civil Service Officer Maria Sitiswali, whose bold action in her capacity as Champhai District Deputy Commissioner against illicit trade of erica nuts from Myanmar received a myriad of accolades as well as slanders from some quarters recently. And her transfer was faster than Blinkit's 10-minute delivery, so to speak. It took place a day after several transporters, organizations and trade unions urged Chief Minister Zoramthanga to transfer the Deputy Commissioner from the border district. As of now, far too many people benefit far too much from the smuggling and they are not going to give up before a fight. I will end this with this dialogue from Game of Thrones.
It's a beautiful dream. Stopping the wheel. You're not the first person who's ever dreamt it.
I'm not going to stop the wheel. I'm going to break the wheel.
And only time will tell whether ZPM breaks the wheels of smuggling or simply ensures it spins like ever.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to EastMojo. For any queries, put them down in the comments section below and press on the bell icon for notifications.